there. When we saw the images yesterday of the flooding on the coast, it was mind-blowing.
Incredible.
It was just crazy. But Brett Neese is on the coast. The water is starting to come down, so we'll check in with him coming up. Thanks for joining us. I'm Michelle McConaughey.
And I'm Ken Smith. Some residents saying that's the worst flooding they've ever seen on the coast. And we're talking, these are folks who've been through Hurricane Florence as well. Let's get back over to meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center, tracking where we are now with these wet conditions.
And we take a look at Dildolfer 5000 radar. It doesn't look like there's much rain out there, but this steady rain has caused some issues this morning for folks traveling, and it continues to just sit there. It is likely to move northward as we get into the afternoon, but for now, we're seeing some steady rain from Smithfield to Wilson's Mills and Clayton, just north of Raleigh up through North Raleigh between, say, Raleigh and Wake Forest, Durham, and then on up into northern Orange County as well. We take a look at what's happening in downtown Raleigh right now. Folks out in their with their umbrellas and raincoats. We do have some drizzly conditions, some damp conditions as we take a look from our Jimmy V camera. And of course, we've seen plenty of rain in the last 24 hours. Now, you have to remember, as we look at this 24-hour rainfall that updates, we definitely saw, much more that started earlier. So we saw almost 4 inches in Fayetteville, about 3 in Clinton. We've seen about 2 1/4 around the Triangle area, because remember, it started first of all in the south. Here's what's likely to happen through the afternoon. By lunchtime, we start to see that rain lifting northward, and we may even see a little bit of sunshine in some of our southern counties. And so it will definitely be nice to see that. We'll see a high 79 this afternoon, but we may still have lingering storms Wednesday and Thursday. I'll show you why and how much more rain we could see coming up.
And Elizabeth, even though the rain is easing up a bit, we still have some congestion building on some of our roadways this morning. We do have Kelsey Coffey and photographer Mark Alexic out on the roadways this morning. They just turned off the Creedmoor Road onto Glenwood Avenue right now in Wake County. You can see the windshield wipers sort of going every now and then, but you can still see some light showers coming down, and there's still some congestion building out there in those roadways. Back here in the WRAL Traffic Center, one thing we want to tell you about this morning is the situation in West Raleigh. Wade Avenue remains closed between Dixie Trail and Fairclough Street because of a downed tree and some power outages there. We'll have a live shot coming up in just about a minute. I want to isolate the Beltline and show you what to expect as you're heading out this morning. Still some congestion building on the south side of the Beltline as well as the northern loop of the Beltline. You're looking at maybe a 10 to 15 minute delay. And for those of you who used the I-540 loop, that's another delay as well. And speaking of those delays, let's look at those true delay times. You're looking at maybe a 10-minute delay coming in from Wake Forest this morning. And boy, it's getting better in those 85 southbound lanes, just a 2-minute delay. And here's a live look at I-440 and Wake Forest Road. You can see the congestion has really begun to dissipate. Of course, we have the WO Storm Tracker out on the roads this morning. Laura Levine is live at Wade Avenue that's remained closed as a result of that downed tree, Laura.
Ken, right now I'm standing here at Wade Avenue and Dogwood. This is exactly where that tree came down overnight and snapped a large power pole in half. Right now, as you can see, utility crews here on the scene, they're actively working to replace that large power pole with the new one. But we can also see power lines scattered across the road. A lot of that tree debris also still all across the road here. Neighbors tell me because of this, they have been without power since 4 a.m. Duke Energy informed them that it wouldn't get restored until 4 p.m. So Brett Hartsfield, he was out here walking his dog with his son Elliot when they noticed the tree down. He says this doesn't happen often in this area, but when it does, this high traffic road completely shuts down.
It's pretty rare, but when it does, it's usually a huge event, especially if it's in rush hour, when everyone's trying to get to work, morning, school, this guy's got to get to school, so it affects a lot of people.
And I also want to mention when we first got here about an hour and a half ago, we noticed there was an accident right at the intersection of Wade Avenue and Fairclough. RPD is on the scene advising drivers to avoid this area as crews continue to work. Laura Levine, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
Right now in the WRAL Live Center, things are improving in terms of power outages statewide. At 6 in the morning, nearly 12,000 people across the state were without power. 3 hours later here at 9 a.m., we're down to 7,300 customers without power statewide. So significant progress there. The biggest concentrations of power outages in our state, 3,000 in the Triad. We have 2,000 in the Charlotte-Mecklenburg area. Here in the viewing area, Franklin County has the highest number of customers without power, 500 239. Then Wake, about 284, and Harnett County rounding out the top three with 128. Zooming into Wake County now, you see 175 customers without power in the Raleigh area. And then there's this big pocket here east of Wendell, 620 customers without power. So as conditions clear, Duke Energy crews continue to make progress here on power outages.
All right, thanks, Renee. People on our coast are cleaning up today after the historic weather event. Some areas saw more than 18 inches of rain. And WRAL's Brett Neese joins us live from Carolina Beach with more on the storm's aftermath. Brett, still some flooding behind you.
Yeah, Michelle, but it is going down very quickly here this morning. Actually, this entire intersection was covered just a couple of hours ago, but now take a look at this. It is pretty much, dry at this point, as dry as it can be after 18 inches of rainfall. This is Lake Park Boulevard, and it is incredible to see this much rain over the last 24 hours causing this flooding and this lingering flooding. As we're going to zoom in down the way here to the Pelican restaurant, the Fat Pelican right there. You can see the sign. Right next to that sign, though, you can see the ice machine turned over as the owner there starting to try to dry things out and try to get things back to normal as quickly as possible. He told me that the water level is the second highest he's ever been able to mark on the wall inside his restaurant. And folks all over telling us how this is really that once in a generation rainfall that we've been telling you that it has been all morning long. They've said that that is how it's felt because of how fast this water rose and how much damage this flooding caused. We talked to some folks about what it was like to go through it.
We didn't take nearly as much water from Florence as we did from this. This came real fast. I mean, it came hard and it came fast.
And you can hear there, comparing it to Hurricane Florence, a storm that sat on the coast for multiple days on end, dumping water. And back out here live, you're looking down this road here that is actually towards where the beach is, off in the distance here on Cape Fear Boulevard. And all this water still sitting on top of these roads, and there are a number of other roads here in Carolina Beach that are flooded. They look exactly like this, and a number of them closed here this morning as this water starts to recede and the cleanup starts to get underway. Of course, New Hanover County schools will be on remote learning today because of this flooding. Live in Carolina Beach, Brett Neese, WRAL News.
And you can always find live weather updates on the free WRAL News app. It allows you to watch radar in real time to see when storms are in your area. Be sure you have the WRAL News app installed with alerts turned on. Welcome back. Just coming up on 9:14 on your Tuesday morning as we take a live look over Carolina Beach. A lot more calm this morning than it was yesterday. Carolina Beach saw a lot of flooding. You're watching WRAL News, available on Hulu and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device. Part of NC-12 on the Outer Banks is closed after storms caused the ocean to wash over the roadway. The NCDOT posted this picture to their Facebook page. You can see the sand and water completely covering the road on Ocracoke Island. It is not clear when the road will reopen. Ferry service between Hatteras and Ocracoke has also been suspended. Dealing with a lot of flooding, as I just mentioned. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner has been tracking the storm since yesterday. I mean, it's crazy that it's not a named storm from all the rain that we saw from it.
And that's something that meteorologists have been talking about for a while now. Tropical systems are based on wind and wind speed and not necessarily rainfall. So there's been a lot of discussion about how to really let people know what kind of rainfall you might see. Even so, none of the models were predicting 15 to 18 inches of rain with this. So sometimes things just end up being a lot worse than expected or better than expected. Not a perfect science here. We are looking at some rain, this lingering boundary here from Goldsboro up through Johnston County, Wake County, Durham and Orange County. This is likely to fizzle out here, but it's just holding tough right now. Not a lot of heavy rain with this, just some light patchy showers from Smithfield through Clayton and Raleigh, up through Durham and up through Hillsborough as well. We head to the north, not much happening here, but we could see that band lifting northward. The models are showing that happening at lunchtime, just a few isolated showers, and then the rest of that rain pushing up by 5 or 6 o'clock up into Virginia. And at that point, late afternoon, afternoon, we may see a few breaks in the clouds in our southern counties. Definitely seeing a lot of rain out of this. Remember, this is rain since this time yesterday, and the rain started pretty early down around Fayetteville and Clinton. So we ended up with about 4 inches of rain there in Fayetteville, about 3 in Clinton. We've seen about 2 1/4 officially there at RDU. And we take a live look at downtown Raleigh. The rain is coming down. People out there with their umbrellas started to pick up in intensity again just recently. So definitely a messy start for us across parts of the viewing area, but really just where that narrow band is. Now, the low pressure system that never did get a name, it was just potential tropical system number 8. That low will linger across the area through Friday. It's going to give us a daily chance of some afternoon and evening thunderstorms. But as we get closer to the weekend, that low will slide eastward and take the moisture with it. We'll see a northwesterly flow behind it, which will bring us dry conditions and sinking air and really a nice drop in our humidity as well. 50% chance of rain today, 40 Wednesday and Thursday, and then Saturday and Sunday look nice and dry, which will be lovely. From here on out today, all the way through Friday, we could definitely add a good bit more rain to the north if that continues to develop that way. Otherwise, looking at maybe 1/2 inch to 1/4 of an inch with that potential for some additional thunderstorms. Does it seem like a lot of rain? Yeah, right now we're on track for the 3rd wettest year so far at RDU with almost 43 inches of rain. That takes us all the way back to 1949. So it's been wet, but not wet for the first day of fall. Mostly sunny, drop in humidity, 76 degrees. It really looks lovely. And that may continue as we get into next week. Now, it's likely to be pretty humid for the next few days. I'll show you when our humidity begins to move on out coming up.